and welcome back to another video of ECK Sports. I got my water here. This is going to be a very long video. At least I think so. I wrote a script of over 4,000 words, so sit tight, be ready. This one took days of planning, days of watching, editing. Yeah, the recording was the easiest part, but yeah, so I don't know how long this recording session will be, but this is the Noah Daberko timeline. I'm going to be going over his entire career. 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. 8 years. He retired. This is not a normal thing on the channel, by the way. I just want to warn you guys that, but I'll be going through basically like all the series he's played in his career pretty much. And yeah, let's get started. The Noah Daberko timeline. Sit, get your popcorn, whatever, get your water, because this is going to be a long one. Let's start in 2013 when MLW introduced the Southern Seahawks. This team had Noah Daberko, Ryan Gable, and Kyle Garricky. Kyle Garricky is the greatest player of all time, by the way. Noah came out his first series against the Eastern Eagles, and let's just say it didn't go very well. He was crushed by Daniel Schultz in the first 2 games on the mound, and didn't really hit that well either. But then he caught the league on notice by hitting a walk-off homer, and in Game 4, hit some homers as well. And he hit 4 dingers in the series. They split the series with the Eagles 2-2. They used to have a 4-game series at some points, 2013. In the series versus the Preds, they swept the Preds with Noah Daberko hitting some homers and throwing a no-hitter. He hit an amazing 4 homers, and at the All-Star break, he ended up making the All-Star game, and in the Home Run Derby, he lost in the final round to Jack Lear. He was having a great season as a player, and the Seahawks were 6-2. But then, they faced the Cardinals and the Wildcats, and reality started to face them. Even though Noah did have a total of 10 RBIs versus the Cardinals, they were not winning any games. Against the two veteran franchises, they went a total of 1-7 to end the season. Both Kyle and Tommy were killing Noah when Noah was pitching, and at the plate, Noah was okay. Well, in today's MLW, his performance was great, but 2013 is not 2020. So back then, because of the 5 teams, the Seahawks had a wild card game versus the Predators, where they won 7-2. But then against the Wildcats, Kyle threw a no-no in Game 1. And in Game 2, they actually played really well, and one of the greatest moments happened to them that didn't go in their favor. Yes, Tommy Coughlin's 100th home run. But the Seahawks bounced back and did this. Yup, a walk-off homer to send it to Game 3. But I think you know where this is going. The Wildcats win Game 3 after Coughlin shuts them down. They managed to go 7-9 that year, which isn't too bad. Noah hit .495 with 12 homers, 39 RBIs, 39 hits, 1,500 OPS, and also won Most Improved along with Jack Lear. Overall, a solid season, but something big was going to change for Noah and the Seahawks in general. In 2014, Tommy retired, which means Noah, Ryan, and Kyle Garricky went to the Wildcats, and the Seahawks were no longer a team. They also dropped the Cardinals and picked up the Atlantic Astros. Now, instead of being the best player, he was the second best player. People really never talk about his time with the Cats, but his time with the Cats was really interesting. I'll say that. He started off 2014 with the Astros. Not the 0-win Astros, but the Astros that were actually pretty good. And he made this nice play in the field as well. I believe he showed up late to that Astros series and didn't play the first game or 2. But the Wildcats took the series 3-1. So I do just want to say Noah did only play 9 of 14 games that year. He only played 1 game against the Eagles, but had 2 hits. He only played 1 game against the Eagles, but had 2 hits. In a 3-game series, the Cats won 2-1. So let's see if he made the All-Star game. Well, you probably expected that Daberko would not have made the All-Star game based on the season so far he was having. But then finally in the series versus the Preds, he started to hit some dingers and had some timely hits. And as you probably guessed, the Wildcats swept the series 4-0. The next series versus the Eagles, where Kyle and Daniel locked down hitters, But this isn't about anyone other than Noah Daberko. So after the pitcher's duel, it continued 0-0 until Noah made an amazing play. The wheels did fall off the bus for the Eagles when Kyle broke up Dan's perfect game and the Wildcats ended up winning. Noah also, in a different game that wasn't filmed on YouTube, had 3 homers. And I just wanted to say, a lot of the games they play were not on YouTube, so it only, they didn't start putting all the games on YouTube until 2019. Crazy, because they haven't played since 2010. He did hit 3 homers, and the season was over, and the Wildcats were 11-3. Noah did not play in the semifinals versus the Preds, which obviously the Wildcats easily won in. And Noah didn't play in the first 3 World Series games either. But when he came back and played, the Eagles were up 2-1. I'll say, the reason why the Wildcats won was because Brendan Schultz started Game 4 pitching instead of Daniel Schultz. Brendan allowed 5 runs and only got 2 outs. And when Daniel came in, he struck out 7 straight batters after Brendan was taken out. Also, the Eagles did score 2 runs, and I'm sure Daniel would have gotten those 2 outs at the beginning. So I just want to point this out, even though it's off top. But overall, the Wildcats won the game 5-2, and Noah didn't do too much. We all know who won the World Series, and one of the most famous home runs in wiffle ball history, Kyle Schultz's walk-off home. Even though Noah didn't have the greatest season, he did still win a Gold Glove, and defense is important. So overall, this is a season that Noah may want to forget, even though he did do okay, but this was probably his 2nd worst year. And he did win a championship, but he didn't do too much for the win. 2015 was a very similar year, but it was slightly different too. In 2015, not only was Noah pretty good, but the Wildcats were good too. One of the best teams of all time. But in terms of stats, to start off the season, they were going up against one of the best teams of all time, Eastern Eagles. Noah hit some bombs in this one, and the Wildcats swept the series 3-0. You saw he had 5 homers. Now, I know all 5 weren't shown. I explained that earlier. Crazy. I mean, they didn't start filming any game until 2019. Noah, just to warn you guys, at the All-Star break, Noah was an All-Star. I'll put the comment on screen. They don't say it in the video, but Noah was an All-Star. He just didn't show up. Couldn't come. And yes, he did miss some games, missing an Astros series. Noah did only play in 8 of 14 games. So again, in a series versus the Astros, he pitched 1 game and did pretty well, allowing run in 3 innings he pitched. They would go on to sweep the series. At this point, the Wildcats were 10-0. For the series against the Preds, well, of course they swept, and they were 14-0 on the season, and that's where the history was made. Noah did not play in that series, and you're probably right now like, ECK, how is this different? Like, this is the exact same as last year. But here's the thing. Championships do matter a lot. But you're right, he was not unreal when he won these championships with the Cats. So, in the semifinals versus the Astros, the Wildcats took Game 1 5-1. But in Game 2, probably the biggest upset of all time happened, as the 0-14 Astros beat the 14-0 Wildcats. Noah did have a hit, but I mean, they lost to an 0-14 team. So Kyle's 3-run shot to make it 4-1, but here's where Noah comes into play. So after Kyle hits a 3-run shot to make it 4-1, here's where Noah comes into play. Michael Stahelski hits a solo shot to make it 6-2, but then he faces Alex Howe. And yes, you saw he struck him out, and they are going to the World Series. In the World Series, Noah went off. In Game 1, he had 3 very good hits. The Eagles did end up winning that game, but in Game 2, Noah did this. Yup, 2 very crucial home runs to help the Wildcats win. The Eagles won Game 3 and the Wildcats won Game 4. Noah did have a hit or 2 in those games, but it was Game 5 where he pushed the Wildcats to victory. And it wasn't just Noah. Gable and Kyle were great too. Noah had multiple hits, and the three of them also went back to back to back to back. Here are some of the highlights. And as you see, they won the World Series. I think you can consider this truly Noah's championship. Kyle did not carry the team this year, because of course Gable was really good. I think this was truly Ryan, Noah, and Kyle's championship. A solid team win. Noah finished the year with a 5.14 average, 21 RBIs, 7 home runs, 17 hits, and a 1400 OPS. Sadly, Noah did not have any awards other than All-Star selection, which I guess is an award. But once again, another huge change was coming for the Wildcats, for Noah and the Wildcats in general. So basically what happened is Noah Daberko and Ryan Gable went to the Seahawks, and Kyle Garricky came out of a one-year retirement. Then Alex House and Michael Stahowski went to the Wildcats from the Astros, and the Astros were no longer a team. And that was the start of the Cobras. So they started the season off against the Predators, actually opening day, and you guessed it, Noah's back to pitching. In game 1, Alec and Russ just smashed the bombs off him, but he hit some homers as well. But the Seahawks did come back to win the series 2-1. So in the next series, he faced the Eagles. In the first game, he got a nice hit, but in game 2, he had this nice walk-off homer. Sorry it looks weird, but they put it on like Periscope and Twitter, and that's like the only way to see it. And like I was trying to look through Twitter and Periscope, so I just decided to put out the clip that they recorded. Noah later had a nice catch and some nice hits and bombs. Alright, now for the All-Star break. Now, usually I don't go over the derbies, but he did awesome in the first round. Then after Noah advanced to the final, Kyle ended up winning. So he was so close in 2013 and so close in 2016, but didn't end up pulling it out. Made the All-Star game, and of course was having a great season. After the All-Star break, they had a series in the rain versus the Cobras. He didn't play well in game 1, which was on YouTube, but in games 2 and 3, he had a total of 3 homers and 6 base knocks. Then in the last regular season series of the year, he would face Kyle Schultz and the Wildcats. Noah in game 1 had some nice hits, and in game 2 hit this homer. They ended up winning after a Ryan Gable home. After this series, the regular season was over and the Seahawks sat at 6 in the wildcard game versus the Preds. It was a pitcher's duel, and also there was this amazing catch by Ryan Gable. In the third inning, Noah Daberko and Ryan Gable did this. Yeah, they gave up a lot of runs and 4 homers in a row. And as a Preds fan, I love watching this game. That was it for the Seahawks, and their season was over. Noah on the year hit .462 with 36 hits, 11 homers, 23 RBIs, a 1400 OPS, and a 4.97 ERA on the mound. Noah this year won Most Improved and, of course, was selected to the All-Star game. It's interesting that with the Wildcats, he played 9 games and 8 games in his 2 years with the Cats, and then he played 14 and 15 games with his 2 years with the Seahawks. You see, Noah Daberko has gone through some big changes in his career, going from the Seahawks to the Wildcats, then back to the Seahawks, but this is where Noah Daberko really turned his career around. This is the biggest change of his career. People don't think of him as a Seahawk or a Wildcat. People think of him as this team. Yes, the Midwest Mallards. To start off the season, they played the Coastal Cobras. And since Tommy wasn't there, Noah was the main pitcher. Before I go over the series, I'll just say Noah was on another level. In game 1, it was basically Noah Daberko versus Drew Davis. Even though Noah gave up some homers to Drew, he still had some awesome homers as well. So with 2 outs in the 3rd inning, Noah Daberko did this. Yep, he walked it off, hit 3 homers in that game, just unbelievable. And then in game 2, the Mallards won 6-2 and Noah hit a shot. And in game 3, he had some snags, and you guessed it, homers. Yep, they swept him without Tommy Coughlin, which is just crazy. Then the Mallards and Noah would face the Cats, but Tommy showed up to this one. Noah hit a crucial homer in game 3 too. The Wildcats took the series 1-2. The Mallards would go on to play the Predators, where Noah started off with a shot. The Mallards just barely got through that game and also won game 2. Noah pitched game 3 and the Mallards lost game 3 but still won the series 2-1. Noah once again obviously made the All-Star game even though he didn't play in it. After the break, the Mallards would take on the Seahawks. Here are some of Noah's highlights from the series. They ended up sweeping the series easily with great pitching and hitting from Tommy and of course hitting from Noah and the 3 homers in a row. The series versus the Eagles, where they had to win to get the 1 seed. Noah was the entire offense in the series. The first 2 games they lost, so they clinched the 2 seed. Noah hit this home run, but didn't do much else. In game 3, Noah was good. Not only was he the only one that could really get crashed, but he also pitched. Here are some of his highlights. Well, I guess there was some lowlights in there too on the mound, but the Mallards got swept. Now to the postseason, in the playoffs against the Seahawks, in game 1, the Mallards won, and Noah had some nice hits. And in game 2, the exact same thing happened. with Noah getting some nice hits and home runs. Tommy also threw a perfect game. In the NLCS versus the Eagles, he had a huge hit in Game 1 and a huge homer in Game 3. And they would go on to the World Series against the Cobras. We all know what happened. So in Game 1, Noah got a hit, but the Mallards lost. In Game 2, the same thing happens, but Noah did hit a homer again, and the Mallards lost. Down 2-0 in the series, Noah starts it off with a homer, then got this great RBI and another homer with two players sitting down on the Cobras. It's probably because of the score, like it was a blowout. And in Game 4, he started off with, you guessed it, a home run. The Mallards ended up winning 2-0 with the help of Noah's homer and Tommy's pitch. Instead of Noah hitting the first inning homer, it was Tommy. The next couple innings were pitchers' duels, but then Noah did this. Yup, it was a 3-run homer that really said it, that the Mallards were probably going to be World Series champions. And of course, but I gotta say it, you blew a 2-0 lead, Cobras! Alright, sorry. Alright, I promise, that's it. They won the World Series. Noah Daberko this year had a .329 average, 12 home runs with 25 RBIs, 23 hits, and a 1200 OPS. And the postseason was amazing with 7 home runs, 17 RBIs, 14 hits, which all led the league. Noah ended up winning. Let's see what he won. Yes, he won MVP, he won Silver Slugger, and Most Clutch. I think he deserved them all. Alright, to start off 2018, they were playing against the Cobras at the new field, the Meadow. And let's just say Tommy came pretty swagged out the series. Remember, in Game 2s in 2018 were not shown on YouTube, so I don't have all of Noah's highlights. So in Game 3, it was a 1-1 series, and let's just say Noah came to play. Even though they lost, Noah hit 3 dingers in that game. The next series was against the Predators. We all know that Warda was struggling with a lot of walks, and that's where a lot of the Mallard runs came. Here are some of Noah's highlights. As you can see, he got a hit, a homer, and a nice catch, and they ended up sweeping the Preds. Then they would face the Wildcats. He didn't hit any homers, but the Wildcats ended up winning Game 1 and Game 2, even though, as you see, Noah had this nice base hit. And in Game 2, but the Wildcats took the series 1-2, and at this point, we're going into the All-Star break at 5-4. Noah was having a great season, so of course he made the All-Star game once again. After the Mallards had a series versus the Seahawks, I mean, I think I could pitch better than Ryan Gabler, Alex House, or anyone on the Seahawks. So it was a nice batting practice for Noah. He had these nice hits, and the Seahawks somehow managed to win Game 2. But if you look at the stats, you can see Noah hit 2 homers, and also hit 2 more homers in Game 3. But there's a problem. The Mallards almost lost to the Seahawks. That's crazy. All right, for the last series of the regular season, they would go up against the Eagles, and whoever won was going to clinch the 1 seed. Also in Game 1, somehow, Tommy and Daniel both threw no-hitters, but the Eagles still won. First time a no-hitter in a loss, and first time no hits in a game. After a Game 2 win, the Eagles won the NL. Let's just say Noah tried to pitch and it did not go well in Game 3. I know Waylon was pitching, but Noah did what he always does. Noah hit a grand slam, and Clayton also robbed Noah twice in that game, and they just barely avoid getting swept. So going into the postseason, once again, they were the 2 seed going up against the Seahawks in the playoffs. You would think Noah would crush bad pitching, but that didn't happen. He struggled until he finally hit one in Game 3. Yes, the Seahawks beat the Mallards in the playoffs. Life is crazy. But yeah, he hit this dinger to really show the Mallards were going to win. And the NLCS, where the rain was going down super hard, but it ended up stopping. Game 1, the Mallards won. Noah had some walks, and in Game 2, Noah got his first hit of the series. I did forget to say it in the video, but the Mallards ended up winning and advancing to the World Series to play the Wildcats. Alright, well, Noah was kind of cold going into the World Series. He also had this nice base knock in Game 1. In Game 2, Noah had a nice early hit. And Noah also did this. Tricked ya again. Yep, Noah got robbed by Zach Pirok, and after that, and he was angry. He hit this homer. And another homer. The Mallards killed the Wildcats 6-0, and Kyle, he was pretty upset after that. And in Game 3 and 4, Noah had these nice hits. The Mallards did end up losing the World Series. Noah had an awesome year hitting with a .359 average, with 11 home runs, 23 RBIs, 23 hits, and a 1,400 OPS. Noah did make the All-Star game, but did not win any awards. So going into 2019, Noah had shown to be an MVP-type player for 2 years, and an All-Star player his entire career. They went into 2019 playing the Western Wildcats. The Mallards lost in Game 1. They finally started showing Game 2s in Game 2, where Noah went yard. Then went yard again. And again. So we had a crazy Game 2, but also Ryan Kelly was pitching, so yeah. And in Game 3, Noah had a double, which is rare in MLW. The Mallards won the series 2-1, so pretty good. Well, the Mallards would go and play the Predators, and Noah said this before the games.
We're going to the dugout for this one. Noah, you're looking at the talent on the field right now. What do you think about the Preds today?
I think it's honestly hilarious that anybody that thinks the Preds have any serious chance at being better than mediocre like they ever have been.
Oh, man. Folks, you know Noah as a villain, and that's the most villainous comment I've ever seen from him, so we'll see how this goes today.
Fun fact, I threw a no-hitter against the Predators.
Noah's bringing out all the receipts. Let's go to the first pitch.
Just saying Noah wasn't very good in this series. In games 1 and 3, Kratz shut Noah down. And in game 2, Noah did get some hits, but Brandon Russell was pitching. Also, Noah pitched to start the game, and these are his highlights. Yeah, or I should say his lowlights. And they took him out for 4. That was like the worst wiffle ball game ever. Like even Kyle said, like that was like serious. That game was terrible. 13-12, and Russell had like 16 walks. Gave up like 12 runs in 1.1 innings after only giving up 1 in like 1.3. But overall, Noah was pretty bad in this series. It was a 2-1 series. Mallards lost, so 1-2. And honestly, they should have swept. The next series against the Eagles was interesting. First of all, Daniel only gave up 2 runs the whole regular season. And guess who one of those 2 runs was? You guessed it, Noah Daberko. Noah also had this nice single. And later hit a home run against Clayton. It's so weird how the Eagles crushed the Mallards in the regular season, but not in the playoffs. Noah definitely bounced back in this series. As Kyle said, a not so good series against the Preds. But the Mallards fall to 3-6. Then again, did Noah make the All-Star break? Did Noah make the All-Star game? Let's see. Alright, they would have the Gators, and Noah had a total of 8 hits and 3 homers. So I'll just show all of them real quick. I feel so bad for Brendan Surlag, honestly, after that 2019 season. And the Mallards came back, and the Mallards just came back, just like they did in Game 2 versus the Preds, and to win. Sweep the series versus the Gators. In the last series of the year versus the Diamondbacks, Noah did not come. So, coming into the NLDS, in case you don't know, Noah hit for the cycle in the series. A lot of that had to do with the Diamondbacks only having 2 fielders, but Noah hit for the cycle in a Game 2 where the Mallards obviously won. I'll show his 6 hits. Alright, now the Eagles for the NLCS. So to start off the game, Noah had this nice base hit. And also Noah was robbed of this home. But as you can see, that rob didn't really end up mattering. And Noah also robbed this homer. But as you see, this didn't really end up mattering because the Eagles lost. Noah also hit this amazing homer. Okay, you probably knew. He didn't win any awards. He made the All-Star game, which is kind of an award. Noah hit 386 with 8 homers, 17 hits, 25 RBIs, and a 1500 OPS. Alright, 2020 is kind of a short one. I'll go through it. Okay. It's probably been a long video at this point, but I promise you this is Noah's last season. Yes, not only was this his last year, but it was his worst. Noah started off the season against the Magic with only 1 hit, even though they took the series 2-1. Then he went hitless versus the Gators, and the Mallards got swept. Then he would play the Cobras, where he got 4 hits, and they swept the Cobras. Well, as you probably expect, he didn't. I don't think someone with 5 hits. I mean, he finally picked it up against the Eagles, though, after some bad series is hitting the ball. Noah had this hit that almost went over the fence. Noah in game 2 also hit this almost homer. I feel bad for Noah. Just so close for his first homer and so close to the first Mallard homer of the year. And in game 2, he almost hit a homer and he kicked the fence. So at this point, it's a 1-1 series. And then in game 3, Max Daberko's pitching and this happened. The first Mallard homer of the year and the first Noah homer of the year. And then he had another one later. They, for the first time in 4 years, the Mallards beat the Eagles in the regular season. But then against the Diamondbacks, the Mallards got swept and missed the playoffs, sadly. Noah overall had a .220 average, 2 home runs, 13 hits, 15 RBIs, and a .717 OPS. Didn't win any awards either. That, folks, is the career of Noah Daberkos. So yeah, I've been recording for 36 minutes. It might be that exact time because I showed some highlights when I wasn't talking, but we'll see. And also go check out MLW Network in the description. I'm part of that channel. There's probably some videos up there already, but at the time of this recording, there isn't. There's like one, but Noah Daberko had a crazy career, as you can see. And yeah, this one was a crazy one. I need my water and see you guys next time. And that is the great career of Noah Daberko.